Welcome to Tony at 12. I'm Tony LeBlanc, and today I'm in conversation with Kate Russell, and we're talking about the Alderney Bayeux Tapestry. Kate, Pauline Black, and Robin Whicker were key members of a project that involved the King and Queen. Can't say better than that. Good morning, how are you?
Oh, just fine, thank you. And how are you?
Well, still breathing.
Good, good. That's all we ask
Okay,
for.
okay, because you brought a lot of fame to Alderney with this thing, but can we start off actually, Kate, with the original tapestry? Um,
Right.
and Bishop Odo was involved apparently.
Well, as with just about everything concerned with the Battle of Hastings, nobody knows.
Right.
The the presumption is that he was responsible because he was William's regent when William went back to Normandy. He was the Earl of Kent, so Canterbury, which is presumed to be where it was made because of some of the images that are in the tapestry. In all probability, he was the patron, but nobody knows.
So interesting from that point of view, because he was also the Bishop of Bayeux, wasn't he?
Yes, yes, he
Yeah.
was.
So there's a direct connection there from that point of view.
Well, yes and no. The
Right.
first knowledge that we have, the first indication of its existence was in 1476,
Yeah.
when it was on an inventory in the Bayeux Cathedral, where they noted that it was hung for 3 weeks a year in July for the Fête de Reliques, the Festival of the Relics.
Right.
That we know nothing of its existence before then.
So
By looking
that's
at
400 odd years.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah.
By looking at the images that are in there and testing as much as they can, again, it is assumed that it was created very shortly after the Battle of Hastings, probably in the 1070s, because William was a busy boy in the late 1060s because the English were not happy about having a Norman king. So he was putting down rebellions just about everywhere until he finally did the crushing that we know as the harrying of the North in 1069. So after that, he could settle down and the kingdom could be at peace. But getting the English to accept Norman rule was more of a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It, it's an
it's
interesting thing, though, isn't it? Because obviously somebody must have been there to witness what happened.
There were a lot of people there to witness what happened.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're not the ones who wrote about it.
But they were
Uh,
on English soil at the time,
they were on English soil,
and it
true.
could be it was made in England.
Oh, I think you will find a few people putting up counter arguments, but most of the experts now are quite convinced, yes, it was made in England. As to where, that's still an open question.
And the materials used in those days?
Well, they can't prove that the linen was made in England. They did have looms that could make that kind of linen in those days.
Yeah.
But primarily, I think the reason they believe that it was made in England was that it was a message. Okay, let's go back to my supposition
Yes.
is this was created to try to make the English understand that William should have been their king all along, which the English were not happy to do in 1066. But if that was the case, he had to prove some justification for this argument.
Yeah.
And one primary scene in the Bayeux Tapestry shows Harold swearing an oath to William. It doesn't say what the oath is, but the Normans will tell you that was where Harold swore that he would uphold William's claim to the throne. The English have a counter argument. They say that he was swearing perhaps that he would allow some of his nobles to marry some of the important Norman women, that a daughter of Harold's could be married to one of them, for example. Nobody knows what really was said or done. But William was trying to convince the English that Harold was a usurper.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We then go another 300 years, and
Yep.
Lancelot reminds us that it still exists. It's
Well,
quite incredible, all these centuries that sort of go by.
right. Well, it's an even more interesting story than that. In the ten up until the late 1600s, people didn't think that things could tell us anything about history, only words.
Yeah.
So something like the Bayeux Tapestry would have been of no importance. Then they began to say, well, actually, we learn a lot about history from things. And the French created an institution to investigate what these items that were found could tell us about various things. And someone produced a sketch of the first part of the Bayeux Tapestry. And it was Antoine, hang on, what's his name? Antoine, got it. I wrote it down.
Wasn't Monsieur Lancelot?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Antoine Lancelot.
Yeah.
He started some investigation to try to find out what it was and put it in the hands of a monk
Right.
who used his Benedictine contacts to discover that there was this tapestry in Bayeux. But even at that time, the sketches only told them what the images were, not what it was made of. So there were questions about, was it a statue? Was it a painting? You know, etc. It took quite a while because they were very protective of this. They didn't want it lost from Bayeux, which is what they were afraid would happen if Monsieur Lancelot had taken it to Paris.
And I guess we've got to remember that when it was made, and as time went by, most of the population was illiterate, and
Absolutely.
therefore you needed pictures to tell the story rather than words.
And this becomes quite important because we today have lost the importance of gesture in communicating language to the illiterate. And the person who was the inspiration for our tapestry, our finale, Jan Messent, had commented on some of the gestures that are found in the tapestry. We've lost the sense of what those things mean. And for example, in the opening scene, you have Edward talking to Harold, and they're touching fingertips, you know, just one finger of each hand. And that is supposed to be transmitting some kind of sacred command. Something very important is being said. We see it again at the deathbed of Edward, when again he's touching Harold's finger. And at this point, even the Normans say Edward gave the protection of the kingdom to Harold.
Yeah.
It doesn't say the kingship, but
No.
in those days, the king was chosen by a council of nobles and clergy. It was not the gift of the king.
Mm.
Whereas in Normandy, the gift of the dukedom was in the duke's power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have a total misunderstanding of how these things are done in the two realms.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Two different cultures, effectively.
Absolutely.
So we then get to a situation where the French Revolution comes along,
Yes.
and it nearly gets used as a wagon cover of
I
all
know.
things. It's a
Yes.
great survivor, isn't it?
It has had so many near misses.
Yeah.
Why it still exists is quite a mystery. Yes, and because of the heroic actions of this commissioner of police, who found some other canvas that they could use for covering the wagons. He is the only one to have his portrait hanging in the Bayeux Tapestry Museum.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that was a very near miss.
For
And
services to the tapestry.
yeah, they were going to cut it up once to be used in a parade to decorate a float for the goddess of reason in the Napoleonic era, you know, post-revolution. So it was another near miss then. But what happened to it in World War II defies belief that it could survive. It was moved 5 times during that period. And of course, by this time now, it's already 900 years old.
Yeah.
It's very fragile. But I think one of the most amazing stories is when Himmler, who was desperate to get his hands on it to hang in his chateau back in Germany,
Yeah.
he was trying to recreate the Teutonic Order of Knights with his SS people. And so he wanted this as decoration. So he decided he would take it from where it had been hidden to keep it out of conflict at the Chateau de Source. and they put it on a little wagon, which was fueled by wood gas. So you didn't have enough petrol. And so they had to collect enough charcoal and wood to
Yeah,
be able to drive it into Paris. Sorry, hang on. That was when it went to the Chateau de Source.
yeah.
I beg your pardon. And that was a 150-mile round trip, at a time when they had curfews, they had all manner of problems to overcome. And to think of the danger of wood gas
Mm.
engine with the Bayeux Tapestry, there were just a couple of people going along and one fire extinguisher. How did it make it?
You just can't even believe it. Now, have you
And
got any theories about the fact that the tapestry fabric has survived for nearly 1,000 years? Was there anything special?
Well, every time that it was taken out to be hung in Bayeux Cathedral, of course, they'd be shaking out all the little nasties that had crept in there.
Yeah,
So it got a good airing
yeah.
every year. They also had it in a cedar chest, which would have protected it to quite an extent.
Mm.
They stuffed it with anti-moth protection every time anybody had a chance. But it's still full of holes. It's still full of rips. The fabric has not survived intact.
Mm.
I have read the number of tears and holes and such in it. It's quite phenomenal. That's why they're taking such care with it now.
There's a theory that the last piece of it was lost, so you only end up with 68.38 meters.
Yes.
Any
And
theories on that?
um, I have some. The conclusion of most of the experts is that it would have ended with William's coronation.
Yeah,
Because at the beginning of it, you see Edward on his throne. And the supposition is that this was intended to be hung in a secular hall. So you would have come in and you'd have had a scop, one of these people who was a teller of tales and a singer of songs, telling the people the story of the Battle of Hastings and
right.
why William should be the king. About halfway around the room, you see Harold on the throne. So logically, this would have ended with William on the throne to
Yeah,
try to justify why he's there.
yeah.
Um, that's the best we can do.
But yeah, but I think that's fair comment actually.
Mm.
From the point of view that it obviously had a beginning and it must have had a better end than it's got at the moment.
Well, the end.
I saw it last year, I think it was. Quite incredible actually, because you get these things to put on your head, earphones, and as you stand by a specific piece, it
Mhm.
tells you the story. So it's
It tells you
quite
the
high
story
tech.
the Normans want you to hear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
counter argument by the English, yes.
yeah. Okay, but it's incredible how 21st century technology is able to sort of cope with something that was created in the 1070s from that point of view. Now,
Well,
it's cut.
recently,
So yeah,
go ahead.
go
I was
ahead.
just saying, recently, a French group have done quite an analysis of the wools, the dyes, the fabric. So there is a lot coming out now. I suspect when the tapestry gets to the British Museum, we'll have displays giving us all this up-to-date information.
Mm,
It's quite remarkable,
yeah, yeah, and they can obviously analyze these things these days without actually cutting it up or anything like that, presumably.
presumably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about it going to the British Museum in terms of the transit bit?
Uh,
The risk of moving it.
well, there is a risk, but it was going to have to be moved regardless
Yeah,
because the building it was housed in was crumbling.
yeah.
And as long as it was going to have to be moved, the question was where would they store it? And they do have a secret location where it's held now. But these days, they can also take precautions to make sure it won't be damaged. I'm not worried about it.
Good.
There are
Okay.
experts involved in this. Um,
Right. Let's move on now to the Alderney edition, which has
Lovely.
been fascinating. Whose idea and when?
Well, uh, as I mentioned before, Jan Messent had created a finale to the tapestry, which I found at the end of a very tiring knitting and stitching show. I was propped up against the counter of a bookseller who had the story of the Bayeux Tapestry, her book. So I bought it, came home, and I've already stitched 9 half-size scenes from the tapestry and filled the walls. But I thought, maybe somebody should make a copy of Jan's tapestry,
Mm.
just so that there is another one in case hers is lost. Uh, then someone else suggested, well, why not make it your own? And I thought, well, I'm not an artist. So one day in the library, I asked Pauline Black if she would be interested in sketching what we could stitch.
Yeah,
And she said, well, it would have to be done in the same style as the Bayeux Tapestry. And I thought, she's the right person.
yeah,
So Pauline sketched it, based quite a lot on Jan's, because Jan did her historical research as well. But we did have permission to use Jan's images. Don't worry about that. She's a lovely lady.
yeah.
And we had Robin Whicker to do the Latin inscriptions, which were done in the Latin of that period, which is quite special.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that's obviously very important, isn't it? That
oh,
to
very,
make it
yeah.
authentic. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that gave us the design. I asked the states if they would fund this as a community project.
Mm.
They gave us £300, and so we launched it. I had
Yeah.
guaranteed I'd finish it if nobody came,
Yeah.
but there was never a session when the library was open, that's where it was stitched, when there weren't some people stitching, and many days, quite a few. It attracted more interest than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah, it's
Altogether,
fascinating. Yeah,
yep,
yeah, yeah.
416 stitchers from just about every continent on Earth.
Does that include the king and queen?
It does indeed. They were here in July 2012, and we had a delightful time because they're really lovely people. Um, Moira Sleeman was sitting next to the now king when he was putting in his stitches, and I'm afraid to say, like a lot of men, he when he pulled the needle up, having to make a stitch, he pulled the thread out, and he
No.
said, "Oh no." And Maureen, Moira, who is very quick-witted, said, "Don't worry, nobody's looking." Well, there was a bank of about 20 cameras all trained on him. So yes, we've got pictures of that, and he just laughed. It was lovely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's, I mean, 460 odd people. That's incredible, isn't it? Really?
416, not 60, but
416. Beg your pardon. Yeah.
no,
Okay.
no problem.
Yeah.
The youngest were 4. We had several 4-year-olds, and we had some 100-year-olds who stitched. It was all ages. About 25% were children, about 25% were men, the majority, obviously, women. But it was an incredibly special atmosphere when we were there. Many people remarked on this, and I love to tell the tale. There was someone who was doing a day of supply teaching, and it had obviously been a hard day.
Yeah.
She came in and said, "I need this,"
Well,
because it was so calming to sit there stitching in company.
now, um, so tell us where it picks up.
Uh,
Presumably at 68.39 meters.
yeah, well, one of the troubles with fabric, as opposed to something like wood or steel,
Yeah.
it it has a certain flexibility. So I've seen the measurement of this tapestry quoted in various different lengths because it'll depend on how tightly you've pulled it as you measure it. And these days, I don't think they're pulling it very tightly at all.
Yeah.
But is there any tension to the fabric as a result of its being measured? But if we say 68 and a bit meters, that's pretty close.
And then the first scene on yours depicts what?
It's the end of the Battle of Hastings. They know that William camped out on the battlefield. That was a way you demonstrated that you were the victor. You had
Yeah.
chased the enemy from the field. So we show him dining with his 2 half-brothers, uh, the Bishop of Bayeux, Odo,
Mm.
and Robert of Mortain. And because Odo was known as quite a greedy, acquisitive person, like William, we show him with his shield full of food. So it's to indicate his personality somewhat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They are trampling on the banners of England, the personal banner of Harold, which was known as the Fighting Man. We know what it showed in that it was a fighting man. We know that it was decorated with gold and rubies. Rubies were considered more valuable than diamonds in those days. And after the battle, William sent it to the Pope because the Pope is supposed to have sanctioned William's exploits. There's no proof of it, but the Normans say that happened.
Mm.
So William sent the banner to the Pope, and it disappeared after that, probably because of the gold and rubies.
Right.
So I talked to the College of Arms to try to find out what the banner looked like. And they said, we really don't know. But if you use the banner used in the replica battles of Hastings, they're pretty good. He said the people there do their research thoroughly.
Yeah,
So that's where we got the image from for that one.
yeah.
The other banner is the Dragon of Wessex, the wyvern. And that was the symbol of the House of Wessex, which became the ruling house of England. So William is trampling them in the mud in that first scene.
Total humiliation. Okay,
Yep. Yep.
let's take it through then, if we can, to the conclusion. So,
Okay.
scene number two.
Scene number two. William has waited for the English to offer him the kingdom, and they don't. They give it to Edgar the Atheling, a little boy who was the grandson of Ethelred, the Unready.
Yeah.
So a nephew of Edward. He was the only male left with royal blood. So he was obviously a perfect choice. If only he had been strong enough, they knew England was going to be attacked by acquisitive candidates for the kingdom.
Mm.
So instead of giving the kingdom to Edgar, they gave it to Harold. We show that the English are giving the kingdom to Edgar. William's not happy about this. He goes to Romney, where two of his ships had been captured and the crews slaughtered. So he destroyed Romney and slaughtered the inhabitants. Went on to Dover. Dover didn't want to share that fate, so they opened the gates and they, in effect, gave William a port through which he could acquire more fighters, more
Yeah.
supplies.
Yeah.
By now, he's a victor.
Yeah.
He went on to Canterbury, which gave him the religious seat for England, and there caught dysentery. He
Oh,
almost died.
yeah.
Yep. He sent on 500 of his knights to take London, but they were defeated at Southwark. So they came back, possibly tails between their legs, and said, we didn't do it, William. So William decided to skip London. He went west and cut a swathe through England, about 20 kilometers wide, destroying everything,
Yeah.
which encouraged the English to surrender rather than try to oppose him. When he was north of Winchester, the widow of Edward, who was Harold's sister, Edith, surrendered the treasury to William. So now he's got a port and he's got money.
Yeah.
So he carries on to cross the Thames at Wallingford, where the Archbishop of Canterbury surrenders to him, along with the two northern earls and Edgar, the little Atheling. They all surrender there. William carries on. He's now encircling London. And so the nobles of London surrender on about the 6th of December. From there, the next scene shows the actual coronation.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't go very smoothly for him either. This was held on Christmas Day, 1066,
Where?
at Westminster Abbey.
Okay.
Okay. He's got his church filled with the English nobles and his Normans. The question is, we had to ask the experts in Oxford, would they have been allowed to carry their weapons into the cathedral? And they scratched their heads and came back and said, well, we don't know. So we show the Normans with swords, but not with armor.
Okay.
Okay. So the Archbishop of Canterbury asks, sorry, it was the Archbishop of York at this time. There was a story behind that, but I won't take time with it now. he asks the congregation, as still happens in coronations now, will you accept this person as your monarch? And the English all shout out, yes, they will. But of course, they're speaking English.
Yeah.
And the Normans don't understand this. They don't understand what's going on. So they think it's a rebellion, a cry for an uprising. The Normans who are outside set fire to the buildings around the abbey. And why? Nobody knows. But the smoke goes back into the abbey. William is known to have been quaking on the throne. But basically, the congregation flees. So his coronation hasn't exactly gone the way he expected. But he was joking. He had some unhappy events in his life, including his funeral. But again, that's another story.
That's another story, and not depicted.
Yeah. Right.
How long did your project take from start to finish?
Almost exactly 1 year. We began it on the 1st of February,
Hmm.
and on the 31st of January, this was in 2012, the 31st of January 2013, we took it out of the library. I brought it home to check to see had we done everything? Were
Yeah.
there things that needed to be corrected? And it was unveiled by the curator of the Bayeux Tapestry, Sylvette Lemagnon, and Monsieur François Legrand, let's see, I think it was Jean-François Legrand, who was the Président du Conseil de la Manche. And he was also a French senator. So we had high-powered people unveiling it.
Mm.
It was a nerve-wracking moment because I knew that it wasn't an easy thing to get the approval of the curator of the tapestry to sanction the work you'd done.
Mm.
And as she pulled back the curtain, she said, oh, "C'est excellent." And I breathed a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, I can imagine,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you've got to get confirmation from them that they're happy on this. Um,
Well, they were happy enough to invite us to display it in the Tapestry Museum the following summer.
well, that was good. That was good.
That's that's unique.
So, are we going to see some unification at the British Museum with it?
That's a very good question. I don't have an answer to that. I have spoken with the museum, well, the man at the museum who is one of four organizing this exhibition.
Yeah.
He knows our willingness.
Hmm.
I've had email conversations with the managing director of the museum. She knows of our willingness, and they've said, we haven't made decisions yet. We haven't finalized our plans. It was Michael Lewis, whom I saw in London recently, who said, normally they take 7 years to plan an exhibition. For this one, they have one.
Right.
So they're in frantic mode to try to get it done properly. They
Yeah.
want it to be the biggest exhibition they've ever had.
Hmm.
And so we're standing by.
Yeah, absolutely. And would be available at very short notice.
Very short notice. It's easy to transport.
It's been an absolute delight talking to you about this. And, it's so good for Alderney. And
Oh, that's
many, many
expensive.
thanks to you and Pauline Black and Robin Whicker for making it happen.
Well, and to all the people who created it, this I may have my name attached to it, but this was not a solo effort.
No, no, no. Appreciate that. But are they in the book, all the stitches?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
it's not in the book. We have a list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it could be put in a book. These things are expensive, and we've used the funds that we have so far for education.
Yeah.
Um, we're open to offers if anybody wants to have us come speak about it, to show it to them. We have a replica that can travel about. It's a nearly full-size image of the tapestry on canvas,
All
and
right.
that's easily transportable.
Yeah.
So let us know if you'd be interested.
Okay. Well, the audience, there you are.
Okay.
Mrs. Russell can
If
do
I
these
could,
things if you want. It's been lovely
we have a
to.
website, Tony. I might
Oh,
put
yeah.
that.
Please
I
mention
might.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
www.alderneybayotapestryfinale.com.
Right.
All small letters.
Yeah. Okay.
And just contact us if you're interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, many,
Okay.
many thanks. I really enjoyed talking to you. I
Well,
knew I
thank
would.
you. Yeah.
And and I wish you every success.
Thank you
Take
very much.
care. Thank you very
Right.
much, Kate.
Thank you for the opportunity.